You know, something that I tend to have a hard time talking about is when I was abused when I was a kid. I was molested, and it was something that I had a really hard time acknowledging that it happened to me. I was so angry that this thing happened to me and the way that it affected me. It made me question my sexuality because it was a man that did it. It made me feel confused about people, that somebody would do that to a kid. And also it was just something for me, like, since I was so young, it was kind of just my reality, what was happening. I didn't know anything outside of that. And it made it difficult for me to be in romantic relationships. I started to connect sex with love because my foundation of intimacy was built on being taken advantage of. And I used to think that the girls I was with, that they broke up with me because of me being molested by a man, which made me question my sexuality. So I thought they saw something within me, like I'm not manly and they want to be with a real man. And so it made it difficult for me to process breakups. And I couldn't say anything to anyone because I felt like it was my fault, that I gave this person permission to do that, that I did something that made them feel like that was okay, or maybe I deserved it. I didn't know. I was young. I was a kid. My perception of things was just an innocent person, so I didn't know how to really process anything. And social media wasn't around during that time. This is early 2000s, late 90s. So there was nothing really in my face about, awareness on these things. So I had a lot of anger for a long time, and that's why I did drugs and I drank to cope with the pain. It was something for me to be able to quiet the noise in my head. Watching movies of people being abused, people making jokes about it, it was a big trigger for me. So numbing my pain was a way for me to escape it. And I think a big thing too with it that was difficult was like just anger towards my dad not loving me as a child. I truly do believe that if he did and he was there for me, I would have never tried to look for love outside of the household, which then put me into the hands of a pedophile. And so a lot of behaviors happen with like self-sabotage, self-destructive stuff, getting myself into trouble, ending up in like dangerous situations, and also, some attempts on trying to, end my life. So I got that bad. And that's why in 2017, when I got to a point where my mind was, wanting to end my life, got pretty serious. Thank God I reached out for help finally, because I learned that if I continue to be angry at this person, which I have every right to, but if I continue to carry this anger and this hate, it was only hurting me. I saw that it was destroying my life, and everything I've tried to cope with it was not working. And what I want to share with you that's listening is that if this has happened to you, that I see you and you're not alone. I understand the pain. And what I want you to hear right now is that it doesn't have to ruin the rest of your life. You know, I sit here today, almost 9 years free from the destruction that pain caused me. You know, I trust men now. I am in a healthy romantic relationship. I don't drink and get high to cope. But it took this perception and belief in order to navigate my life. And it was that everything that I experienced in that painful situation, that I was strong enough to endure that trauma and that suffering to help out other men and women who've been molested. Now, it may not be something easy to digest, to think that like, oh, so it happened for a reason. For me, it was that the mindsets that I chose to utilize before, believing that it happened for a reason to help out other people, those other ones weren't helping and this one did. So for me to believe that maybe it didn't happen for nothing gave me a sense of hope that, you know, I can let it go one day. And for me, I learned that when I share my story vulnerably, and someone like you can relate to it, it helps me heal. Helping somebody who's been through this is the thing that gives me a reason to live, makes the pain a little bit less painful, and it gives me the ability to be able to accept what happened to me and to move on. And remember, it's not that I forget about it. I'm not hanging out with the person. I'm not saying what they did was all right. It's so I can stop letting this person take free rent in my mind. I can't change the past, but I can change my future. And something I've learned, and it was hard also, was this idea of, you know, forgiving others. And I understand that you forgive things, but I do believe from a human perspective that there is unforgivable pain. But for me, when you're struggling with addiction in your story like I did, there's this idea that we have to forgive all things and let everything go because a resentment will take us out. And I'm sure that's for people with mental health issues and just any type of problem. You know, if you're somebody who believes in like the Bible, let's say for people that are more religious, it does say, you know, if you want to be forgiven, you need to forgive others. So hearing this forgiveness thing was difficult to try to believe that like I got to forgive this person. But there was a perspective of what you don't forgive, you become. And it wasn't as if saying like, you'll do exactly what that person does if you don't forgive it, but more of when you carry on to that pain, that you'll bleed onto those that you love around you. And when I acknowledge to analyze that, it's like, well, yeah, you know, hurt people, generational trauma gets passed down, and, you know, it's all you know, it's all you know. And for me, it was noticing like, it was just causing me so much pain and anger, and my relationships were toxic, and I didn't want that. I wanted to be free from that, you know. I wanted to be able to live my life and help others, not ruin my life and lose out on an opportunity to protect those who need protection. So for me to forgive was understanding, okay, it's going to benefit me. For me to forgive is not to hang out with them and say that they got away with it. It's okay. It's not that. It's like, okay. But you know, the question that came to my head was, okay, but why did he do that to me? Well, I chose to believe, right? If hurt people, then it probably happened to him and he never got help. Now, is that true? It doesn't matter. I choose to believe that to be true based on human psychology, and it helps me work on letting it go, to forgive, for me to move on, right? And so because of that, I have so much fun speaking in AA meetings, churches, schools, prisons, right here on camera, sharing this story. I even have a shirt that says I was sexually abused that I wear in public. So I know this works. I know it helped me heal. I know I'm alive today because of that belief. We got to protect those who've been hurt. And our story will do that. And your story will do that. And it's a journey. It's not easy. It's a process. But for me, if you have people around you who have your story and they're healing from it the healthy way, and they look free and they have peace, you surround yourself with those people. Those people will be able to show you how to get through it. And I'm grateful that I did, because there's so many amazing opportunities have come into my life because of this vulnerability, and they still do. You know, I've been on Soft White Underbelly, which is one of the #1 YouTube channels in the world. I'll put those links in the description. I had the Washington State fly me out to Maryland, and I did like a 5-state tour of speaking in schools and prisons and colleges and rehab and sober livings because of my vulnerability. And I have people all the time just messaging me saying, thank you for sharing that. I don't feel alone. And I'm just grateful that I found a way to let it go. And I hope that this video can help you let it go as well. And for those who don't know me, my name is Fausto Castellanos. People know me as the Hope Dealer. I am a clinical counselor, and I'm somebody who just learned that when I share my story, wherever I go, amazing things happen. Not only for myself, for my healing, but it helps me grow, and it helps others heal and grow. So thank you for going on this journey with me. Thank you for trusting me with this time with you, and just know that I'm here with you every step of the way.